Well, fucking shit. What a start.
We are live, and we are here to remind you that everyone is illegal on stolen land. This is Isaac Chase. I wrote that down. I didn't want to forget it.
You don't want to forget it. You want to write it down.
Um,
I'm just glad that enough artists said it.
mhm.
So like now my people are free. Now we're
Yeah. That's all it took
that's all it took is
was a
just a
bunch
bunch of
of
celebrities.
celebrities to say it.
And now that they said it, like I'm no more burdens. There's no more
Yeah,
racism.
yeah.
And
You're wealthy and good
I'm wealthy.
looking, and
Yeah.
so isn't it? I mean, that's got to be true, right? If it's stolen land, then everyone is illegal.
Well, here's the thing, because I think what they say is nobody's illegal on stolen land, but it can't be stolen land if nobody's illegal, right? Like if everybody's welcome, then it's
Is this what we're marching in the streets and dying for? These little paradoxes? But but
yeah, because it can't be stolen land if nobody's illegal. Like if they believe in, um, which by the way, you know me, I'm an open borders guy.
yeah.
Um, as a concept, I don't know if it works. I'm not speaking to our immigration system. I get it. It's not what this podcast is about. But if you say we're speaking to the paradox, right?
Hmm.
That's what we're talking about, the paradox. If you say everybody's welcome, then it can't be stolen land.
Plus, by the way, you can't say everybody's welcome if it is stolen land because it ain't your land to welcome people onto.
Correct.
Yeah.
And as a Mexican, I want my land back
Yeah.
because California was mine.
Yeah.
So give it back.
Was it Colorado? No, Colorado wasn't, right?
No, there was a small sliver, southern Colorado. Um,
Walsenburg. You can have Walsenburg. Take it back.
take it back. Take that shit. All of southern Colorado, man, is pretty gross because it starts to bleed in with New Mexico.
Yeah.
And New Mexico as a state should not exist. That
Poor New
shit is
Mexicans.
shit's ugly.
You heard Edgar say that, not me.
Yeah. New
Uh,
Mexico is no bueno.
no bueno. Uh, in a very small way, I think it does relate to this podcast because one of the things that we're big on is words matter, and if
Yeah.
somebody's just going to repeat things that sound good, that's not good enough, not at all. So,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, somebody said I saw online. Somebody said it's not stolen land; it's conquered land. I'm like, kind of have a point there.
That is a more accurate. Well, that's what that's in Mexico. That's what we call them, the conquerors.
Mhm,
We don't call them. We don't say they stole the land. It's like they
mhm.
conquered us.
Yeah,
The conquistadors. That's
I think
that's
that resolves the paradox too of who's
correct.
welcome and who's not. You know, if we just say it's conquered land, you can have a problem with it. You could say, you guys came here and, uh, against the Bible or whatever and took our land, but it is conquered. Like we did show up and kill everybody. So
Correct.
it's ours.
It's ours.
Ours. I don't know what that even means.
That even.
Um,
I'm
yeah,
Mexican, so it's yours.
it's yours.
It's yours.
Land is your land. It's also your land.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so I had some classes over the weekend. Did you? I can't remember. You had a class on over the
I had a
weekend,
class on Saturday.
Saturday. Okay.
Saturday.
I had an anomaly. I had four different people show up with revolvers. Um, all of them women, which I have to suspect that at least some of them were told that that was the gun that they should buy. I mean, if we're just looking at the history of over 100,000 people through our classes and the things that we've seen, um, at least some of them were instructed at some point that this is the right gun for you because you're retarded.
Yo, that's basically it. And I say this in class, and it's hilarious, but I'm not a feminist. But like that's basically what dudes are telling their wives is like you're
Hmm.
too inept to handle what I
I
believe to be
Yeah,
a superior gun, and you should take. And the fucking hilarity of it is that they're actually giving them a worse gun.
yeah,
Um, because we found out, and I can't believe I fell into this. Like I fell for it early on in my instructing career, I guess if you want to call it that. But it's fucking hilarious how much more difficult a revolver is to use. Now
yeah,
you have your very few limited humans who are like kind of okay with it. I've had a few students are like, "Oh, I ain't got to worry about you." But a great majority, men and women with revolvers, are like, "What the fuck are you doing? Like this is it's actually more difficult to use."
and these men, usually it's men
Yeah,
who make these decisions for their women. And I say their women like the people they relate to,
yeah,
because it could be a dad and a daughter or a brother and
correct.
a like, but it's usually some guy who says you're too dumb and retarded to operate a semi-automatic handgun, but you are definitely okay to drive your car to the class, which is way more complex. Um, Somebody on a YouTube comment said this to me. It's like, well, the car's not a great analogy because you get lots and lots and lots of time and experience on driving it safely. And I'm like, yeah, you need to.
Yeah,
Think of all the scenarios you have to be prepared for on a regular basis with your car for you to be able to safely drive your car
correct.
from one place to another. The handgun, we're talking about practicing with it and then the defensive use of the gun. It's pretty limited circumstances that you're going to use it in,
Correct. If at all.
if at all. And with the car, you're using your hands and your feet.
Yeah.
With the handgun, you're
While
using,
texting.
yeah, while texting. Yeah. Yeah. So, um, yeah, it just amazes me that well, I mean, we've seen this with a lot of things. We see this with safety, where all of a sudden, when it involves a gun, we forget everything we know about it, about complexity, about risk, about safety, about learning, about all of that stuff. We forget all of it because it's a gun.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, one of the students you had, was in my class on Saturday,
mhm,
and she had already told me, and I forgot to tell you, but I was like, "Oh, you're gonna find out tomorrow how shitty it is to have a revolver."
yeah,
Because I do talk about it, it comes up. We do talk about revolvers and how shitty they are for self-defense,
hmm,
and especially in the class, man, how fucking difficult it is to keep those students on track.
mm,
'Cause they slow shit down, man.
yeah,
They slow shit down because 'cause they're and that's the problem with the revolver in self-defense, it's not efficient.
mm.
It's just not efficient in any way, shape, or form. They're slower, their reloads are slower. Even shooting is a little bit slower.
Oh, definitely, definitely. And I would say I had this is anecdotal, but in because I had two classes on Sunday. In both of these classes, I had women of nearly the same age and body size and probably aware like experience with manipulating the firearm, who were shooting double action only handguns like an LCP, things like that. And while they struggled, they were shooting faster.
Yeah,
And we're talking about a pretty long trigger pull and a smaller gun, harder to get acquainted with, harder to use. So I would say, yeah, they definitely shoot slower, and there has to be some psychological effect of knowing that you're going to run out of rounds really quickly that might push you towards not shooting as quickly,
for sure. Trying to conserve.
trying to conserve the ammunition. So um, in the world of gunfighting, 5 rounds is probably enough in almost all self defense circumstances with a handgun, um, or self defense circumstances where a firearm is involved. However, your confidence in the fact that you could quickly run out of ammo could definitely change the way you approach the problem.
Yeah.
So, and then, yeah, like the chances that they're going to need to reload in a self defense fight, very low. However, in the pace of the class, knowing you're the reason why everything is going slow is also going to interfere, I think, with the learning experience. So, um, and one woman, she was telling me that she has nerve damage in her whatever this knuckle is right
Yeah.
there. And the way I was telling her to grip the handgun, we got through about 10 rounds, and she's like, I don't know if I can continue. This is really painful. And so she decided she was going to try to continue, and she adjusted her grip so that the pain would stop. But that grip gave her less control over recoil for her follow up shots. Um, so I give her a lot of credit for sticking with it and
Yeah.
playing through the pain or whatever. Uh, but if she had had a medium sized 380, I'm sure she would have been much better off physically speaking.
Yeah.
So um,
Yeah. People underestimate how not very ergonomic the K frames, the J frames. Because you had one K frame, or were they all J frames?
1K frame and then several smaller variations on a J frame.
Yeah.
So
And they
um,
just suck. That
yeah,
they just, especially for people with issues,
yeah.
just not very awesome.
Now, all of these women, I'm going to give them credit for sticking with it
Yeah.
because I'm sure it's very discouraging to be in that position. And none of them quit, and none of them complained except for the pain in the hand. None of them complained. But I made the point to them and to several other people in the class who had firearms that were more complex than they needed to be, just telling them like this is where you find out if your stuff works or not, and if you're struggling out here because of your equipment, pay attention to that. This could be something telling you that this is the wrong choice.
Yeah.
So um, we have to acknowledge, of course, people's budgets are limited and they can't just go out and buy whatever based on one experience, but hopefully it opens their eyes to some of this could be easier if I had the right tool for the
Correct.
job. So,
Correct.
um,
Yeah, that's the trap with guns.
mhm,
Is I don't aside from very limited, very crazy guns, they're all gonna work
mhm,
for the most part. Like you get any shitty gun, and this is what I talk about when people bring up fucking comfort. First off, you don't know what it means. You're using it as a buzzword. You keep saying comfort, 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 but you really don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And also, if you were to take, I'll go a little extreme, but if you were to take a Smith and Wesson 500 and someone's about to put it in your butt, and you don't want them to put it in your butt, like I don't know of anybody who's gonna be like, I guess I'll just take it in the butt. Uh, I think most humans are gonna be like, I think I'm gonna shoot this fucker in the face with this really shitty defensive gun.
mhm,
Um, because it's probably still gonna work. And
yeah,
that's the trap is people take their really shitty guns to the range and they work and they hit the paper at their pace and slowly and in a extremely controlled environment and it works, but they never get to hear the like, yeah, sure, it will work, but it wasn't efficient. It wasn't consistent. It wasn't as awesome as it needs to be. Most guns will work.
given enough time and effort, absolutely.
Yeah.
um, yeah, like in my limited physical conflict experience, both real physical conflict and um, training physical conflict, where you're actually fighting against another person, you find out real quick how any inefficiency in your response is an opportunity for you to get your ass kicked.
Yeah.
And like we're not expecting everybody, we're not expecting these women to be, Bob Munden. with the revolver. But if we're going to talk about what is the best tool for the job, this is a pretty good demonstration that this ain't it. So
I like the super old people reference. Not even Jerry Mitchelluk. You went
because
you went even more obscure.
Bob Munden, I think, is probably faster than Jerry Mitchellek,
Fair,
but
but not
but
as
he only
known.
used, he did all of his exhibition on single action guns. So
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a fair comparison because Mitchellek doesn't shoot that. If he did, he might be as fast as Bob Munden, but like Bob Munden's one of those people that
Is he still alive? He's not alive
no, he
anymore.
died a long time ago, I think. Uh, he's one of those people that makes you think like maybe magic is real because there's no way anyone's that fast. And when he was making a name for himself and he was being videoed, we have just like shitty video,
Yeah.
so you can't slow it down. You like they're like, now let's watch it in slow mo, and it's like 15 frames a second, so it goes from him putting his hand on the gun to him firing, and you're like, well, where's the in between part? This must
It,
be magic.
it's
So
the same cameras they use at riots
yeah.
in 2026.
Exactly. um all right, so let's talk about YouTube lawyers.
YouTube lawyers.
I know you don't watch YouTube, so I don't know if you're familiar with any of these YouTube lawyers. um but there's quite a few. It's a pretty growing genre of YouTube. And of course, the ones I look at are like gun focused, self defense focused, with the exception of one of them. His name is, well, he goes by Legal Eagle.
Oh yeah, everybody knows Legal Eagle.
Yeah.
Fucking
And
can't stand that motherfucker.
yeah, I mean, he's a condescending asshole. But maybe that's what makes him a good lawyer. I don't know. A good
If he
lawyer,
is a good lawyer,
well, I don't know. He might be. But
maybe.
there's things about when, and I don't watch him very much because I can't stand it either. But a good lawyer is not necessarily right.
Correct.
A good lawyer wins arguments.
Correct.
And what I'm looking for from an attorney is one that knows how to construct an argument that is persuasive.
Correct.
So, in that vein, when I watch him, I'm like, well, he does a pretty good job of constructing these bullshit arguments into and persuading lots of people into listening to him and giving him credit for being right about stuff. So let's just get this out here. None of these lawyers is right when they talk about current events. And what I mean by that is when we say that these lawyers are right about the Preddy shooting or the Renee Good shooting or even the Kyle Rittenhouse shooting, they're offering you opinions based on their observations and their experience.
Correct.
But if you're going to these attorneys to say, oh, Andrew Branca explained to me why the federal officers were justified, we don't know if they're justified. We won't know until there's a legal outcome. So he's just offering his opinion about how you would argue that fact or argue that if you were going to be the one in front of the judge arguing and in front of the
Correct.
jury. So, and I think it's really easy to fall into this idea that these attorneys are right just because they have experience around this stuff.
Correct.
You have to ask, what are they right about? What are they giving you an opinion on?
Well, one of the basic fundamental things that or rudimentary things that attorneys tell everybody, you and I, mostly you, kind of debunked a while ago. And it takes a while for people to even process how full of shit attorneys are. It doesn't mean they're good or bad. They're just full of shit. That's kind of their job, is to be full of shit. But we get this all the time from attorneys. Don't say anything. Shut up. Don't say anything. And then they'll give you a list of reasons why. And I think we discussed this in a podcast episode. This idea of like, well, attorneys say that because their only experience is with people who needed them. They've never experienced the millions and millions of people who did say a little bit and
Mm-hmm.
nothing happened.
Mm-hmm.
And nothing happened. They don't have experience with those people, so they can't base it off of that. Um,
Yeah, they're going to be heavily influenced by their own personal sample size. And you'll be lucky if you find an attorney who tries to go beyond that to better understand the bigger
correct,
picture.
correct,
Um, and that's not a fault on them
correct,
because, I mean, it's a hard job. And you're like, hey, this hard job you do for 10 to 12 hours a day? Maybe you should add on an hour or two to expand your awareness of things outside of your immediate orbit.
correct.
It's a big thing to ask of them.
Yeah.
I know, like when we ask casual questions from of Brian, his typical answer is like, "I have no idea." Like, not even like I'll try to find an answer. It's like it doesn't affect what we're talking about. I don't have time for that.
Well,
So
and even if he did look into it, or even if any attorney does look into it, I don't know. Like
yeah,
I don't know because I don't know what they have as evidence and what I'm going to argue against and or for. Um, I haven't seen discovery. I haven't like I don't I haven't seen testimony, and all of this can affect the way I look at any particular case.
right.
Even just the video evidence is like that's just part of it.
Hmm.
That's weird. Where it's just like you can have a video, and in the grand scheme of things, in a case, it's just like that's only one thing. That's only one thing.
Yeah. A lot of the work is done before the video ever even gets shown to anybody. It's done in all the pretrial motions, motions to include, motions to suppress, motions to delay, like all kinds of stuff to argue to put yourself into the best position to win.
Yeah,
Um, and so the video is like a piece of a very large puzzle. And but what do we see as casual observers? We see the video and we're like, well, there you go.
there you
That's all you
go.
need. Like, no,
Open shut case.
open and shut. Which kind of gets me. This is a little distracted from the main topic, but I guess it kind of relates to these lawyers. If these lawyers that you're watching on YouTube are gun lawyers, if they're pro gun, pro self defense, or whatever, and you watch a breakdown of what happened to Alex Preddy or Renee Good, you're gonna listen to these experts talk about something that happened, and it's going to do is reinforce your preconceived notion of what happened.
Yeah,
You will not challenge yourself in watching those videos to consider an opposing point of view.
correct.
I mean, and that's human nature. It's not a character flaw. That's just the way we are. But the problem is now you've got a YouTube attorney on your side, even if they didn't even mean to be on your side. Even if what they said wasn't exactly the way you interpreted it, now you've got, oh, I watched Andrew Branca. That guy's got 30 years of experience, and he said justified. I'm like, well, maybe he didn't say that, but because of your position and where you are, politically or what, morally or whatever, you come into that with a preconceived notion. You're only going to hear things that reinforce what you believe.
So one thing that I find myself doing in class is I get told, "Hey, in the video, Isaac and you said like we didn't say that. Isaac and I read what the law said,
Mm-hmm.
and you are putting we had the voice, we had the words,
Mm-hmm.
and you think that that's what we said, but we quite literally were reading the law for what it was, and also." Just because the law reads that way doesn't mean that's the way it's going to be applied.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, it's difficult to tell these students is like, just because those are the words you read on the piece of paper doesn't mean that you perceived it correctly, and also that it may not change when you go to trial because of reasons
Right.
that are fucking weird.
Right.
Um, it's such a tricky thing, dude. It's
The
such a
judge
fucking
has to interpret it. The prosecutor has to interpret it. The defense attorney has to interpret it. All of the paralegals involved have to interpret it. the jury has to interpret it. So you got all these different people involved, and this is, I like, if I'm going to be as benevolent as possible, this is why the legal system is supposed to work, is because we try to take this complicated thing and put it in the hands of opposing people who all have a right to present their argument,
Yeah.
and hopefully we get to the right conclusion. But it's certainly not perfect, and it's certainly not easy to understand. And with any case, nobody knows what the outcome is going to be until it happens.
One YouTube channel, if anybody actually wants to watch YouTube, it kind of bores me really fucking quick. But Audit the Court, the dude that does Audit the Audit, now does Audit the Court, and he analyzes a lot of courts outcomes and rulings and all that shit. And there's that judge out of Houston, um, that he's probably the one judge. Most judges allow videos out there, but he's probably got he's got a fuck ton. I would say that he's probably the most seen at the moment
Mm-hmm.
out of Houston, and a lot of the cases are from there. And even he would be like, "I this is how I read it, but I see how you read the law. So out of abundance of caution or whatever, let's just err on the side of the fucking defendant." And then he yells at the fucking defendant, "You piece of shit, you."
Fleischer, is that his name? Fleischer?
Yeah, Fleischer.
Okay.
And I think that the beauty of Fleischer is um that his courts kind of show you exactly how complex this legal system
Mm-hmm.
is that if you don't have the correct judge on the correct day reading what you're trying to say, like everything you read and everything you believe can still be thrown out, and you could be told to fuck off. And it's such a complex thing. So for
And
somebody on YouTube to just say, nope, this is the way it is, or
yeah,
somebody to interpret it that way, like this is just the way it is, and you're kosher, it's no different than the people like, well, my neighbor's a cop and he said just fucking
yeah,
murder them and
yeah.
then drag him back inside the house and I'll be a-okay. I was like,
The point, the point I have started making in the classes whenever anybody says something like that is I'll ask the class, uh, who is not going to be on your jury?
yeah,
That cop.
that cop.
Who is not going to pay for your choices? That
Yeah,
cop. So be careful the way you bring in information, because taking somebody's word for it on something like that is high risk. Um, the thing is, too, is like I haven't heard of this Audit the Court. I'm going to start watching this. You said it's boring, and you're also describing this as somebody who seems to do a pretty good job of representing the reality of it. And that's the problem. Is the reality is mostly boring. And
yeah,
so if I'm going to be a successful YouTuber who is going to be an attorney online, I got to make it punchy. I got to make it interesting. I got
yeah,
to deliver the certainty that you're seeking, which doesn't really, fit within the idea of educating people about the law.
yeah.
And
It's
that's a trap that, for the life of us, we cannot seem to fall into. Like that would be awesome if you and I could actually fall into the trap of giving the people what they want, because we do not seem to be able to do that. We're like just
oh dude, it's um I'm gonna try and pull it up because I don't think you've seen it. um I didn't show it to you, but this is a perfect example of kind of what we're talking about is what you're kind of mentioning here is this idea of like we don't give the people what they want. And the problem with it is people believe what they want. So even if we do give them what they want, it's kind of like they don't, I don't know, they just don't see it for what it is. Um there is Oh, here we go. I think, and this is a problem with one. I can't do it because I don't know if I fit the mold, anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So I posted this. I wonder if there's a drill gun people do where they hear a sound, and I understand I'm veering off just a little bit, and the shooter shoots as fast as possible without processing info, and I'm wondering if shooting really fast without processing information can lead to needlessly killing someone.
That's
Uh,
a it's a relevant post.
it was a very relevant post. And this individual, Scott, says you're assuming negligent discharge in this case. If that happened, it was by the agent that disarmed. So I didn't say anything.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't say like who shot. If it was like, I didn't say anything to that effect. In fact, the most I said was, anyone see a video lately where an apparent ND causes shooters to shoot without processing any real info? Asking for Reddit. That's all I said about that.
Mm-hmm.
And this human's like, and then accused you of sucking Rittenhouse's dick.
Oh, okay. Based on your mission and the instructor's politically biased position on Rittenhouse, your organization should come out fully condemning ISB. Okay, did Scotty J come to the class and hear me talk about Rittenhouse?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I talk about Rittenhouse as well, but I already knew he meant you as soon as he said
Yeah.
politically biased, because I know how you talk about Rittenhouse. And I know he's exaggerating about what you
Yeah.
meant about. So what I said is, I think it was a response. Serious question: why are humans always reading what wasn't written? We never mentioned who had the ND because the video is pretty clear. If you think we have a political bias about Rittenhouse, you haven't paid enough attention to what Isaac and I say. Also, I'm positive we've already said enough about these folks on Thursday podcast, because we had already predicted that this was going to happen,
Yeah. Yeah.
where we essentially predicted this would happen. If anything, we try to look at facts without any political influences. And Isaac and I do not subscribe to left or right membership and dislike political parties. And then it kind of continues on. I will say this. After a while, he says, "You are right. Isaac was my instructor. I watched the podcast. And apparently, my interpretation was incorrect. Sorry. Hope to get back with you guys for some training."
Oh, look at you saving people, saving people from their own spirals.
Because what we talk about, one of the things that I try to explain is, in this particular Facebook post, one of the things that I try to explain is, if anything, we say how awesome the Kyle Rittenhouse legal case was completely. Like, if,
As a body of
oh my
education.
God, phenomenal case study.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's almost no other perfect case study on how choices, whether you agree with him or not, I happen to disagree with his choices, but whether you agree with him or not, they were choices and there was consequences. And regardless of video evidence, the outcome was fucking insane. And in court, the legal defense team, the prosecution team, like, all of it was just, it was just such an awesome case study for learning.
Yeah.
It was just fun. That's what we talk about. It
Yeah,
is
and to clarify any misunderstanding that Mr. J has from the class he took and anything that I said, which I don't remember, but the way that I try to present the information about Rittenhouse is not only as a court case, but just as individual moments on the ground, and then how those are interpreted by people in general. Because
correct.
the point I'm trying to make is, what is the definition of reasonable?
Correct.
And you've got half the country who thinks that he should have been executed, maybe for what he did, and the other half of the country who thinks that he should enter the Self Defense Hall of Fame, and maybe have his name carved into Mount Rushmore, or his face carved into Mount Rushmore. And when people consider what the definition of reasonable is, they pretty much go to what they think is reasonable. That there's
And by the way,
again,
that's not even the legal definition of
Right.
reasonable.
And the legal definition of reasonable is important in a lot of ways, and also not that important once the jury takes the case into the jury room.
Yeah,
Because of that, the way that humans take in information, process information, remember information, and make decisions on information is driven by motivations that typical humans don't really understand.
yeah,
Um, a good defense attorney understands it, and a good prosecutor understands it, and that's why they'll use things that what we would call tricks, but they're not really tricks. They're really just persuasion techniques.
correct.
And a great example of a persuasion technique was when Johnny Cochran asked OJ to put those gloves on in front of the jury.
Over gloves.
Yeah, over gloves.
Nobody even paid attention there. He was putting on gloves over gloves.
Yeah. And these are gloves that you could pull up commercials of him wearing those gloves, right? And, and like, same size, same glove, and they fit, but Cochran can create the image
Yeah,
that the glove does not fit on his hand, cannot fit on his hand, and if the glove does not fit, you must quit. And like you I'm sure Marcia Clark was like borderline suicidal when she saw him do that, and when she heard Cochran say that, because she must have known
that's it.
the case was over.
That's it.
When you can boil it down to a mental image and a quick saying, that's all the jury needs.
And that's the fucky thing about our legal system. This is why we have to be careful with YouTube attorneys, YouTube 2A attorneys.
Mm-hmm.
It is it's we're so easy to sell to as humans, dude.
Yeah.
Like I talk about the bullshit that gun companies get away with because we're
Mm-hmm.
so easy to fucking market to.
Yeah.
Subcompact firearms. We were sold on that, and then we quickly found out as a community that subcompact firearms are hot garbage. I think
Yeah. And
collectively everybody finds out that subcompact firearms are garbage, but the fucking industry was like, "You need this.
yeah.
This is better for you," and we're like, "Fuck yeah, I do." Um, like it's crazy how easily you can manipulate a fucking jury, even though they get told time and time again, "Nope, don't listen to that." I was just like, "No, I
Mm-hmm.
already heard it and I loved it."
Yeah. I'm reading Crystallizing Public Opinion by Edward Bernays right now. And if you don't know who Edward Bernays is, he's known as the father of public relations.
He made that sauce
He was
too, right?
What's that?
He made that sauce.
Yeah, the Bernays sauce. he he was the nephew of Sigmund Freud, um, and he basically pioneered the idea of how to get the
Which one
public.
was Sigmund Freud? Was he the uglier one or the prettier, the one that got mauled by the tiger?
Yeah, he got high on cocaine and got mauled by a tiger. Um, so Bernays was really big in the 20s. That's when he wrote most of his public things. But then after a while, he no longer needed to be a public figure, and he started working for corporations and governments on how to affect public opinion. And in the book, he rattles off all these examples of how they change public opinion with a few simple strategies that got people to just switch their affiliation, their brand affiliations, their trust, their even their own perception of their own needs. And it's just, you have to understand how new the idea of mass media is, and how quickly we've turned it into a way to hijack opinion. And if that's true about anything, it must be true about the way you plan for self defense, since it's all over YouTube. The way we plan for self defense is, and this is how we end up with people telling us that you need a special purpose rifle and a designated marksman's rifle if you're going to be serious about self defense. Like, because there's these huge YouTube channels running around telling you like how to be a one man insurgency,
So
and
so crazy, dude.
Yeah, there's this one channel I was watching. This guy is talking about is your handgun enough to stop the next terror attack? Like, what the fuck are you talking about, dude?
So I confidently will say this: if the next terror attack happens here and there's bombs going off, I think I'm gonna die.
Yeah.
I think those bombs beat my gun and they beat my AR-15 because that's how it's gonna happen, right? It's like it's drones. Like I can't fight fucking 20
Oh,
drones.
dude, we are. I was thinking about this today. Like, we are lying to ourselves constantly that somehow we're gonna put on a plate carrier and a helmet and grab our AR and survive a drone attack. Like,
Like even the actual military people are having a very difficult time keeping up with the fucking drones. Like
yeah,
it's not going. Oh, speaking of drones, has nothing to do with lawyers. I'm sure we're still talking about them, but I was gonna share a video, but you guys can find it. In Mexico, a cartel faction attached a severed head to a drone and delivered it delivered it to the opposing team and said, "Here you go, buddy. Here's your buddy." Uh,
wow,
fucking dropped it on them. Just fucking insane. And you know the typical cartel videos. At first, it's just a bunch of Mexicans hanging out,
yeah,
um, and then they're talking shit, and they're like, "Fuck this motherfucker." And they're probably high off of cocaine. There's no way you're not fucking out of your mind at that point.
yeah.
Um,
God, dude.
attaching a fucking head to a drone and then setting it up and like, oh, here's the house, and then here goes, and then you see the fucking them deliver a severed head.
Well, I mean, like, it's disturbing, but it's not anything new. Like, the method of delivery is new, but the idea of delivering
Correct.
your enemy's head back to your enemies, that's not a new concept. We've been
No,
doing that for a very
with a
long time.
drone.
Uh, yeah, I wonder if it was a DJI drone, if that's going to be in their next commercial. Um,
Because
so I
when the
wanted to point out a video
go,
that kind of like breaks this down. This idea of like there can be good information provided by attorneys, um, but oh, a nice screen stop right there. There's like, oh man, that's horrible. Um,
armed attorneys. Who are armed attorneys?
so they're based in Houston. They used to be mobbed up with U.S. Law Shield, and they did a bunch of videos for U.S. Law Shield. That ended a few years ago. Now they're just their own people, and they put out a video probably like every other day or so. 370,000 subscribers, and I have learned a lot from watching this channel. Um, However, it's very easy for them to stray into territory that maybe they shouldn't be offering advice on.
I fucking hate it when attorneys become instructors.
Mm-hmm.
Because now I'm seeing one that says 22 self defense.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's illegal, but like you should, like you're not an instructor.
Yeah.
Anyways,
And
as we talk about legal
as
stuff,
we talk about legal stuff, but um we're yeah. How do you put that? I try to stress to people that it's interesting to learn about the law,
yeah,
but you should maintain an awareness that you are not qualified to practice the law. That's why you call an attorney
correct.
when you need an attorney.
Yeah,
Um, the This channel does fall into the trap constantly of giving some kind of self defense advice based on their legal experience, and it's a bad idea. It's a really bad idea. In this video, just we're not going to watch it or anything, but this one is they breaking down the 333 gunfight rule. Which, if you're not familiar, the idea that the rule for a gunfight is that it will be within 3 yards, 3 shots or less, and in under 3 seconds. And so they try to break that down from a legal perspective. And I think actually, in general, they do a pretty decent job of educating about some of the legal experiences around this. But it's really easy for them to fall into giving advice on what you should or should not do.
Yeah.
And one of the things they say in this video is that um, the typical number of shots is either 1 or 5 in their data. And by the way, let me back up. Their data that they're using for this video is cases that they have argued in the last year, shooting cases in the last year.
So very limited.
Very limited, but I was a little shocked when I find out how many it was. 30
Oh, okay.
in 1 year.
Yeah, that's quite a bit. That's a lot
It's,
more than I thought.
yeah. And they said in the video that they legally represent or consult on 50 to 100 shootings a year. So legal consult is, just basically like providing some kind of backup to another attorney or some way of, um, leveraging another attorney's experience to fight a case. So, but they said in this video that these 30 shootings came from the last year of their cases in their law firm. Now they're in Houston, so it's kind of like the Memphis, Tennessee thing. Plenty of fish in the sea here. But this is a single law firm in Houston with 30 self-defense shootings
Self-defense shooting.
on their caseload in a year. That's incredible.
I
So
also love the early 2000s. Let's keep the camera markers on.
yeah, yeah.
Uh,
I think it goes with the outfits too. So, um, so they make the point that 40% of the shootings they evaluated out of that 30 were 3 rounds or less. But then they also make the point that of those 40%, almost all of them were 1 round. And then they make the point that outside of that, the number of shots, if it was more than 3, was almost certainly 5 or more. And then they make the point that there's a pretty clear distinction in these cases where if somebody was prior military or prior law enforcement, they were way more likely to shoot more times than somebody with no background in military or law enforcement. And that was something I thought was really interesting from a data collection point of view.
yeah, but I think we kind of knew that because I think they still have this idea that they have some sort of protection.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm just gonna murder.
Right.
Because as much as humans like to say, and I'm only saying this from a this is what we hear most of the time perspective. I'm not here to make a judgment on this podcast.
Mhm.
I'll say it somewhere else. But we do hear an absorbent amount of cops and military people say, just fucking kill him.
Yeah.
It's easier if you just kill him.
Yeah.
So for as much as people say cops are not murderers, we do hear that while my neighbor said,
Yeah.
and he's a cop, and he said, just fucking kill them.
Yeah. Better make sure they're dead.
Better make sure they're dead. I've heard cops say that to people, like, yeah, just fucking kill him. No witnesses. Like, the fuck?
Mhm.
That kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you could offer opinions about why that is true in according to this data. They do go on to say later in the video that the prosecution tends to win more when the number of rounds fired is 7 or higher. But if we compare that to what we just said about law enforcement, former military, and everything, I think we could draw some kind of a line, possibly, to say that the mindset of shoot until they're dead is what gets people in trouble, not the
Yeah.
number of rounds that
Correct.
they fire.
Correct.
Because the number of rounds that they fire, the argument's going to be the same or should be the same, whether it was 1 round or 5 rounds or 7 rounds. Yes, Alfred, that is true. It's maybe one of the reasons why they have 370,000 subscribers, which ironically adds credibility, like adds this perception of credibility to to them. Oh, they have a 1/3 of a million subscribers. They must know what they're talking
They
about.
know what they're talking about. Yeah.
So, yes, Alfred, that is correct. Um, so, but this video is a good example too of like how we have to be careful about how we present data, because we can easily draw the wrong conclusion if we
Yeah.
view the data in isolation or make the wrong connections between chunks of data. So one of the things they say during the video is the less rounds you fire, the less likely the prosecution will go after you. And that may or may not be true, but that's not how we should be approaching the problem of self defense. We should be
Correct.
approaching the problem of self defense as use the number of rounds you need to use,
Correct.
which will likely be less than what you maybe think you'll need.
Correct.
But the assessment of the need to shoot and the need to stop shooting happens in the moment. It doesn't happen in the courtroom. It happens in the moment, and
Correct.
that's where it should stay. Uh,
Correct.
so,
Yeah, this is the problem that I have with my Fippy homies, because they conduct surveys and all that shit, and then
mhm,
they analyze the data. Like, yeah, but part of it is you're skewing the way you're presenting the data, or some of it is the way you're asking the questions, and this is the problem we see with polls and posters is you can ask a question to and lead and have it be a leading question, and they're going to
mhm.
answer the way you want them to answer all the fucking time. Also,
We-
some of the data is kind of irrelevant.
yeah.
Um, you put me on to Dean from Ammoland,
Hmm.
who studies the how a 9 millimeter is super awesome for self defense against the bear.
Hmm.
That's the way I interpret it, and that's the way I present it. But that's not his study, right? Like his study is these are all handgun calibers that we used in defense against bears. And I do use it as a point to like this idea that a 9 millimeter is not good enough for self defense is bullshit. And here's their argument against them. But if you read the data, I had one student who sarcastically and correctly pointed out, well, if we were to decipher this data, what we really see is that people that carry 44 magnums are much more likely to be attacked by bears.
And that might be the only piece of data that you can solidly stand on.
And you can really interpret the data however the fuck you want,
Yeah.
and that is
Yeah.
one interpretation of the data. If you carry a 44 Magnum, you're much more likely to be attacked by a bear.
Yeah.
So to your point, is we have to be super careful how we read.
Well, even just asking a question can be biased because if somebody does something and they're not really sure why they do it, and then you ask them a question about why they did it, they're much more likely to assign a value based on the fact that they were asked a question rather than even acknowledging that they don't even know why they did it.
Yeah,
So, when people say that social science is not a science, this is the kind of thing that I think needs to be a paid attention to, because nothing about social life happens in isolation. That's like the opposite of the definition of isolation. Um, and self defense is a social issue, and so the data around self defense is a social issue as well. There is science involved, and the way reaction times and the effect of a bullet on a human body and things like that. These are scientific things, but the big picture is it's a social question, and we have to be very careful about how we approach that question.
yeah.
Yes, she does seem very nice. I'm sure. I'm sure she is very nice. I feel so uncomfortable right now. So he makes a point. The guy in the video makes a point at one point that says the average number of rounds fired in these 30 cases is 4.5, but then immediately goes on to point out that it's generally speaking 1 round fired or 5 rounds fired. So the average itself could be misleading. If I told you, oh, according to this data, 4.5 rounds per shooting, that's the average. And you're like, okay, well then I'll carry 5 because that
which
should
by
do
the
it.
way is pretty fucking consistent with the Tom Givens data, which says 4.2 rounds.
Mm-hmm.
And in his data, he says, but that's just an average. Like
Yeah.
that's math.
It's
Like it's
almost a useless piece of
yeah,
data.
yeah.
Yeah.
It really
Um,
is.
even though it sounds like a very important piece of data. So, um, and then they, let's see. Uh, oh, they said the average number of rounds resulting in a conviction is 7 shots. So that's um, the way the way that they look at the problem, and that's their job, by the way, is to look at the problem that way. So if you come to them with a case and they're like, "Yeah, what happened?" And you're like, "Yeah, I wasted this dude. I shot him like 15 times." I'm like, okay, well, we're gonna have our work cut out for us. I know from experience that the prosecutor is gonna have a field day with that. That's why you're hiring them to know that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But when they say things like keep in mind that the prosecution is more likely to come after you if you fire 7 times, like that doesn't mean you should change the way you train with the firearm.
Correct.
And it doesn't mean it should change the way you use the firearm in the moment. It might mean you should change the way you train, because if you're sitting there being like,
It's just
Mozambique drill will keep me out of jail, like that, yeah. So, um, and then they also made another point about reaction time. So, this idea of gunfights taking 3 seconds, they asked a very important question. When, what are we talking about? When does it start? Does it start when you got up in the morning? Like, because the decisions you made the moment you got up led to this moment.
led to the moment.
So they said the way they evaluated their own data was to say the amount of time that elapsed from the time the gun came out of the holster. Which, I mean, if we're trying to time things, you have to set some kind of arbitrary starting point. But I don't really think that that's a valid thing to do.
Yeah.
Um, because you could get people who get behind in a fight who really should have started sooner. And you get people who are ahead in a fight and probably should have waited a little longer, but we're just measuring the time.
Which goes back to our hot topic all the fucking time. Our
Time.
our fucking dead horse that we love to beat to death. And
Yeah.
timers, this idea, this illusion of time
Mm-hmm.
is I don't think people understand that. Like, when does the fight actually start?
Mm-hmm.
Like, because you can measure the beginning from, yeah, I mean, almost anywhere, like almost anytime.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when you didn't see the bad guy come into the 7-Eleven, like that's when the fight started.
Yeah. When the bad guy decided to target that 7-Eleven for a robbery.
That's when it started.
Yeah.
You just weren't aware
When
of it.
you ran out of Tums
Um,
at your house,
yeah.
that's when it started.
When you didn't realize it's 2026 and you can Uber Eats that shit.
Yeah. When you ate crap for 20 years and you put yourself in a position where you got to eat Tums every single day. That's when it started. So, but then he brought up an interesting point about this, that what they were trying to understand in their assessment of time was they were trying to apply reaction time. And reaction time, now we're getting on a little bit more solid footing where we can measure stimulus and response and measure you. But the thing is it tends to be measured in isolation. And so there are extreme limits to the value of single stimulus, single response, and measuring that and coming up with data around that. When in fact, in the real world, we're constantly evaluating countless stimulus and choosing, in many cases, to ignore almost all of them in favor of other ones. So right there, you have a bias of which ones you're going to pay attention to and which ones you're not going to pay attention to.
Yeah.
But he was trying to make the point, like, if we're talking about reaction time, we have to understand that this is a human limit. There is a limit to human reaction time, and you have to work within that. So they came up with a number of about 6 seconds, um, which I think, if we're talking about how long it takes for a specific set of circumstances to play out around a gun, yeah, maybe that's a useful number to say. Um, this happens pretty quickly. Usually, this stuff happens pretty quickly.
But 6 seconds was just a reaction time.
That's just reaction time.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
is, oh shit. I get startled. I look over. I see some shit happening. And now I make
Mhm.
the decision to draw my gun.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he said, if you take the idea of isolating a stimulus down and a response down in isolation, like I don't think he expressly said this, but I think he was implying the idea of timing your draw. His point was like that doesn't translate in the real world.
Right.
So now, of course, we want to be efficient with our draw. We want to be
Yeah.
efficient with our access to our tools and the use of our tools. But this fictional number of you need to have a 1 second draw if you expect to be successful in a fight, we're dealing with all kinds of flawed applications of how this stuff actually works.
Now I want to go onto the comments because I'm sure there's a lot of people like, well, if you don't know how fast you are you really
Oh yeah,
training?
yeah.
If
I'm sure there
well,
is. I didn't look deeply at the comments, but
if you don't time it, how do you know you're getting better?
yeah,
If you don't time it, how do you know, like, all these derpity derp derp derp?
yeah.
Um, Tell me you drank the Kool-Aid without fucking telling me you drank the Kool-Aid? All those
So
motherfuckers.
the most interesting piece, well, to me, the most interesting thing that they said in this video, which is something I've heard elsewhere, but to hear them reiterate this with a data set, 30 something shootings, and also something that fits in with their own perception over time of their data, is that there's when they're looking at their cases that they have, it's almost 50-50 that the defender knows the attacker.
Okay. Yeah. I think I've heard that before.
Yeah. Now this is still a biased subset, right?
Right.
Um, because we're not counting the cases that didn't come through their office. But it is a pretty good indicator that, generally speaking, um, it is very possible that the most dangerous conflict you may ever have in your life will involve somebody you know.
Yeah.
And so this idea of like, well, I'm going to get a gun and I'm going to smoke whoever it is who challenges me or whatever. Well, what if it's your stepson? You know, um, what if it's like there was a case. I don't have the link in front of me. This guy gets married, and by the end of the reception, has killed his wife's stepdad in self defense. And when I
Jesus.
say in self defense, this dude got shot in the hand before he killed the guy.
So the
So
stepdad got mad, said, "You're boinking my stepdaughter.
yeah,
That's my piece of ass.
yeah.
How dare you?"
How dare you?
Shoots him,
Yeah,
and this guy needs to shoot him back.
yeah.
That's fucking bonkers.
It's crazy.
Are
I
you gonna
want
play this video or should I take it off?
You can take it off now.
Oh,
People
okay.
have seen it. If you're not watching and you just want to know which one we're talking about, it's if you go to YouTube and look up "Armed Attorneys 333," you'll find this video. It's called "New Data 333 Civilian Gunfight Rule Attorney Breakdown," which, by the way, the title is flawed
Yeah.
because there's no civilian gunfight rule. The 333 rule was not meant for civilians. It's never been associated that way from any kind of official point of view. And even as an official thing, it doesn't even
That's
really
how
make.
they all get misconstrued. The
Yeah.
fucking Tooler drill.
Mm-hmm.
Tooler had to come back, be like, "No, that's not what I meant to do with the Tooler drill." But to this day, the 21-foot rule, and even the guys like, "Nope, that's
Yeah.
not."
Which, by the way, I think there's a video on the PDN YouTube channel with Tooler talking about it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So shout out to Personal Defense Network. So anyway, like I guess the grand point here for me when it comes to YouTube attorneys is don't uh don't assume that what you're hearing is correct just because it's an attorney. Um, you have to be able to segment out where the experience counts for something and where you should not listen to these people. So,
Well, and we kind of talked about this before, but it's also get rid of your own bias.
mhm.
There's there's a cheesy exercise that I do now in classes in the classroom portion
You're
of
always
it.
telling me about everything you do in your classes. Makes me feel so inferior. How do you have time for all this stuff?
Uh, and so I I do this and I encourage people to to watch this video, those that are not going to be in my class. But if you guys go on the YouTube machine and on the YouTube machine you look for this video, it's this top one, the most common cognitive bias. And he explains a rule. So he gives you three numbers and he explains the rule. It's not a super long video. We could almost play it. Um, but anyways, he gives you three numbers and you're supposed to figure out what the rule is. It's following a rule.
Mhm.
And at the end of it, um, it's basically to explain just that the most common cognitive bias, which is information bias, which is confirmation bias, kind of the same thing, kind of the same thing. I already have a set of ideas in my brain, and it is very difficult to break away from that. So what you'll see is people get stuck on the same thing. We see this in my class too. People
Mhm.
get stuck on two things. Um, in fact, I'm going to start bringing little piece of paper and then fucking handing it to people, and then look like a fucking magician when they guess, and then they pop it open. Or like, oh shit, like he knew, he predicted what I was going to say. Because humans are pretty fucking predictable. Like it's
Mhm.
collectively they're pretty predictable. But we see my students do this is they get stuck on two things. It's time or distance things with self defense, and then primarily math. Like they get so stuck on math and they'll say the same math equation over and over and over and over again, but only because their brain seen the thing, they seen a pattern and they believe that it's this rule.
Mhm.
So now it's just like, I'm just going to ask shit that's going to confirm what I already believe instead of, oh shit, I was wrong. Like their brain will not allow them to do that, just to admit that I am wrong. Let me think of something else.
Mhm.
And the reason I bring this up is when you're watching these videos, you should get rid of that little piece in your head where like I believe ICE is right, I
Mhm.
believe ICE is wrong, and get rid of that shit and just look at it for what the fuck it is. Like I'm forget that you're a Democrat, forget that you're a Republican, forget that you're a racist, forget that you're not a racist, like forget all that shit, leave
Mhm.
that shit aside and just pay the fuck attention when you're watching the attorney videos.
So there's actually, as far as I understand, a physiological reason for this. The brain is built neural pathways according to patterns, and those neural pathways are designed to efficiently transfer information from your perception systems to your decision making systems. And those neural pathways get physically stronger every time they get reinforced. So asking somebody to um, stop using their bias and start opening their mind physically, there's a barrier there. And it's not a barrier where you can just like, okay, physically change this thing. You have to you have to work at that. And so when people are like, no, I'm open minded, like, no, you're not. You're not open minded. Like that's not the
Yeah,
way the brain works. that's that's the opposite of millions and millions of years of
correct.
evolution. Like you have to put an enormous effort into being open minded. Just saying you're open minded doesn't work. And in fact, in most every single thing you do, you are not open minded. If you were, you wouldn't be able to function. So
Correct.
recognize the barrier here. This is not simple. This is not easy to do. And right when you think you're probably doing a good job, you're probably not. So But what makes this important is that if we're talking about high stakes stuff, we have to try to bring in as much information as we humanly can to try to make wise decisions. Um, Acknowledging that those biases will still be in one way or another will still be there. But if we're talking about like what's your favorite cereal, who gives a fuck? Just eat your favorite cereal. Let that neural pathway just live there, you know. But if we're talking about what's the best gun for self defense, or if we're talking about the best way to train for self defense, you got to work at ex- expanding your ability to take in new information and make reasonable decisions based on that information rather than predetermined decisions based on that
Correct.
information. So
Correct.
um, I love all the neuroscience stuff behind this because I think if you start to understand it, it helps you understand other parts of your life that, like, oh, that's why I do this all the time. That's why I, um, I can't give a good concrete example that isn't obscenely embarrassing, but we'll just say like, there's reasons why you make mistakes in your life.
Correct.
And if you could start to understand those because of the way your brain works, like, it could be helpful. So, um, and I think that actually kind of segues a little bit into the other thing I wanted to talk about, which is something um, that I'm still trying to learn about, which is when we talk about shooting your gun at bad guys. Um, how fast do you do it? How precise do you need to be? Balance of speed and precision. According to the IDS program, the Intuitive Defensive Shooting Program, there's 4 factors that affect the balance of speed and precision. 2 of them pretty obvious: the size of the target, the distance of the target. 2 of them are less obvious: circumstances under which you need to shoot and the anticipation of the need to shoot. Um, I want to talk more about the anticipation of the need to shoot. This is one I'm like, I feel like I'm not very strong on understanding and being able to communicate to people.
Okay.
So my understanding about circumstances under which you need to shoot are one-handed, two-handed, um, the the present, like the imminence of this threat. How close are they to hurting you, or is it dark out? Is it light out? Like all of these things affect your balance of speed and precision. Is that
Correct.
basic the understanding? So how does anticipation of the need to shoot fit into the equation?
So a kind of good example, kind of. And this is the problem is trying to fall into the absolutes.
Mm-hmm.
But a pretty decent example is Jack Wilson. White settlement, Texas, at the church. He's seen the dude with the shotgun. They had a problem with him for a while now. He's seen the gun before he made the decision to draw. It wasn't, if you look at it, it wasn't a super, oh, fuck, I need to shoot. He's seen him pull out the shotgun. He's seen
Mm-hmm.
him shoot his friend. He pressed the trigger and then he moved and then he shot another guy. And then, so Jack Wilson, although it was relatively quick, I think the whole fight was like 7 seconds. Um, about there, the whole entire fight. Jack Wilson, to a large degree, had an anticipation to need to shoot. So yes, it happened quickly, but it was still an anticipation. So he was more susceptible to use, especially because of the circumstances, of course. But he was going to use his sights. He was probably going to
Mm-hmm.
use his sight. He was going to take more of a precise shot
Shooting over the heads of a bunch of innocent people.
of a bunch of innocent people. You see this in a lot of, oh, another one is, although the story isn't fully correct, it still kind of highlights this idea of anticipation to need to shoot. Elijah Dickin,
Mm-hmm.
he had more of an anticipation to need to. He's seen the bad guy. Although it was very quick, he still had more of an anticipation. He had the information. He's like, now I need to shoot. He had that anticipation. It wasn't a quick, responsive, oh fuck, I need to shoot him really quick, like we see the guy in Brazil.
Like you're talking about like the difference between like a reactive shooting
Correct.
versus more of a planned shooting.
About as planned as you can be in seven
Right.
seconds, but it's
Right.
still, I mean, whether we like it or not, even from a legal perspective, you can premeditate a murder in 20 seconds. Um, this is why our student
Yeah. Yeah. Our student, I was just going to say, our Mike, what was his last name?
Michael Hancock,
Michael Hancock got charged for first degree murder.
first degree murder, which comes with a lot of premeditation, even though his he was driving Uber and he had never met his passenger before. So a lot of people think that, well, in order for me to get charged with first degree murder, I need to know the person, I need to plan it out. According to the law, court cases, you can premeditate something kind of quickish.
Mm-hmm.
So it's about as much as you can plan something in a few seconds, but it's still an anticipation to need to shoot. Somebody's got another example would be, unfortunately, he died at the hands of cops, but the grandpa in Aurora, the Air Force guy, somebody came into his house and took his grandson hostage. During that chaos, he in that brief moment had an anticipation to need to shoot. So he was going to take a more calculated, more precise shot because he did have an anticipation to need to shoot.
So it's a, yeah. So maybe a synonym within that is calculation.
Yeah.
It's not a replacement for the word, but it's like it's part of our understanding of the difference between let's say like a more um, what would be an example? Okay, I'd say Rittenhouse. Let's go back to Rittenhouse for a minute. Uh, when Rittenhouse shot Grosskreutz in the arm, there was two reactions, like a chain of reactions going back and forth between the two of them. And Rittenhouse like pointed the gun and then didn't point the gun and then pointed and shot as the actions were happening. So there was like the I'm not going to need to or I need to shoot probably, no wait, no I don't need to shoot, no now I need to shoot, kind of like that shorter reaction time, and I would say more of a reaction to the direct stimulus. Is that kind of like the idea?
Kind of. Um, yeah, I mean, kind of.
And then the guy hitting him in the head with the skateboard, or trying to hit him in the head with the skateboard, um, we're not even certain that Rittenhouse even exactly saw what he was about to shoot at.
Correct. But even in the last guy that he shot, um, it wasn't because he didn't go to 4 points of contact. He
Mm-hmm.
didn't do any of that shit. It was still kind of,
Almost like from the hip.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So it wasn't as precise.
certainly not.
Obvi-
Yeah.
yeah, obviously not because it's got him in the bicep. So it wasn't as precise. So a SWAT team coming in, they have an anticipation to need to shoot, and a
Mm-hmm.
lot of them take more of a precise shot over a high center chest shot.
Mm-hmm.
So it's more of that. Is, I guess, calculated is probably the best way to look at it, which is why I hesitate to say Rittenhouse's last shot was that, because I don't think
Yeah,
there was.
yeah. What I'm saying is more reactive.
Yeah,
Like he knew he was in a fight, but he didn't know that he was going to need to shoot
at that time.
at that time.
At that time.
Um, and because I'm like the amount of time that elapsed between him having the gun pointed at him and him firing, that was very short, and like you said, not a precise shot. It was more of a point shooting with the rifle.
Yeah,
And
it
who
would have
knows, he might have even missed what he was trying to shoot.
the
Like
first
he
time.
got a hit out of it, but for all we know, he was focused on the gun and that's where his
Correct.
body might have been orienting the rifle to shoot
Correct.
at, was to shoot at the gun.
Potentially.
Um,
So
just
it would
because of what we know about the brain's, the way the visual systems work under this kind of stress.
it would have
So,
been different if Rittenhouse seen his circumstance as a bystander and he still had the rifle.
yeah.
Right. If he's seen his friend being approached by no bicep guy,
Hmm.
Baumgartner, is that his name?
Gross grades.
Gross. Okay.
Yeah. Who, by the way, I
Uh,
think he's changed his name so that people won't recognize him anymore.
yeah. Um, I
The
don't
Looney
know.
Tunes arm is not going to be a giveaway.
Yeah. What happened to your arm? Um, so had Rittenhouse seen himself or a different person,
Hmm.
and he was as a bystander, he could probably see the medic guy or whatever his last name is approaching with the handgun,
Hmm.
and now he's like, I'm going to need to shoot this guy. That's more of the anticipation to need to
Right.
shoot. So that affects his balance of speed and precision. Because I have the anticipation to need to shoot, I am probably able to take more of a precise shot
Hmm.
than a multiple string of fire at a high center chest.
Right. Okay. Um, in the examples provided there, I think all of them were single shot.
Yeah.
So, um,
Yeah, generally speaking, that's all it would. I mean, no absolutes, but
mhm.
generally speaking, that's kind of the way it goes. Mine
Yeah.
is Elijah Dickin,
Oh yeah, that was not single. That
but
was 10. Yeah.
also, I think if we look at his story correctly, his first few shots were single shots,
Hmm.
and were more of, oh shit, I missed, let me get closer. Oh shit, I missed, let me get closer.
So he missed, according to his attorney, he missed at the intermediate range.
Okay,
According to his attorney, and we just have to take his word for it. We can say we weight this information with a certain amount, but uh, according to his attorney, his first four shots were hits. It's the middle four shots where he missed twice, where he got to that intermediate range of about 20 yards.
got it.
And
So
so,
I wonder if he took multiple string of fire at that distance, or if he
mhm,
took four separate shots, right? Because we talk about this. If you shoot at a headshot,
mhm,
a quote unquote headshot, without getting too deep into what that actually means,
mhm,
if we take a quote unquote headshot and you hit it, the likelihood of you needing to shoot it again is super fucking low. So we only train one shot there,
mhm,
because even if you miss, for the sake of bystanders and for the sake of safety and for the sake of getting shit correct, we would never encourage you to take multiple shots at the head, because even if you miss, what we want you to do is, as bystanders, as family members, as your neighbor, all that shit, slow the fuck down and make sure you don't fuck up the second time.
mhm.
So it would be two shots, but it would be two singular separate shots,
Yeah,
as opposed
yeah,
to a double tap, I guess, if you
right.
will.
And of course, we don't know what happened
Correct.
with Elijah Dickin, but this is the way we approach the training around this. Would be, if we're talking about a 40-yard shot, and if we're talking about multiple shots at 40 yards, we would certainly say these are four individual shots with some level of assessment going on between those shots.
You would imagine, based off of all of the empirical evidence we have available to
Yeah.
us, is that that's exactly what happened.
And that's the way that we would train longer distance shots. Any long distance shot
Correct.
would be individual shots with some level of assessment going on between each shot. Whereas with the multiple shot string of fire at the closer distances, you are assessing while you're shooting,
Correct.
but you are not stopping in any way to assess.
Correct.
The assessment is happening while the finger is still moving.
Correct.
So,
Until the thread is gone, and then you
right.
stop shooting. Yeah.
Um, okay. Yeah, that's interesting. It's in the whole IDS program. This is one of the things that sits out there. I'm like, man, I need to spend more time understanding this this particular concept. So um, the other ones, the size of the target and the distance to the target, uh, it seems a lot more simple on paper. When I say on paper, I mean, literally like on paper targets on the shooting range. Like, this is the size of the target. It is a 9-inch rectangle that's clearly defined against a background of a different color, you know. Um, but the size of the target that we use on the range is designed to represent the approximate size of the critical area of the high center chest. But even that can change if we're talking about a shot from the side where somebody's moving and showing you their side, or that's what you have because you've come up on the situation. Um,
That's
so,
why we don't use and we don't encourage using the anatomy on targets,
mhm,
because you might have to shoot the fucker on the side.
mhm,
And oh, by the way, the size of a splayed hand is, you can put that shit right underneath the armpit, and it's still good-ish, right? Like
yeah.
it's still gonna fit there, unless the person's a crackhead or a fucking meth head and super skinny, and that 9-ish inches is still, it's still gonna work there
So
ish.
when you say we don't use the anatomy on the target, you're talking about targets that are showing you anatomy. Is that what
Correct.
you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's not encouraged because of that, right? Because the way I see the lungs and the way I see the heart and the way I see all of that from the front is not going to be the same
Hmm.
when the body is at an angle a little bit, especially when you just took um a lateral motion, or the person is to the side or the back, or they're three-quarters rotated against it, like all of that shit, right? Like it's not going to look the same. But in your
Yeah.
brain, I have the heart, and like, well, the heart is not in the same location as it was before, because
Hmm.
now they're not facing the same way.
Yeah.
Or if you're on the ground, or if you're sitting down and they're standing up, or it kind of changes a little bit.
Yeah. Um, Speaking of that, I don't know where I heard this. It was a video or a podcast or something. This is talking about pistol rounds, and they were talking about a case that they had where a pistol bullet um, entered into a person, hit their sternum and their rib. The bullet rode the rib and popped out in the armpit, never penetrating the pleural cavity.
That's
Isn't that
crazy.
crazy?
So it basically skipped over on
Yeah.
on what we would consider the front end of the rib,
Yeah.
and then came out the
And
armpit.
here's the thing, I heard this a long time ago, and I've tried to do some verification on it, but it's kind of a hard thing to just do some casual research on. But um, this guy was talking about bullets and bullet injuries, and he said that the thickest parts of the skin, which you're typically going to find on your back, have the same tensile strength as roughly 4 inches of muscle.
It's crazy, dude.
So if you think about a bullet going in and then putting pressure on the body as it moves around the rib, it's trying to leave the body.
Yeah, I don't want to be there.
But eventually it finds a place where it can leave the body. It pops out in the armpit.
In the fucking armpit. And then this is where Candace Owens is like, "Oh, two shooters.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
13 shooters, and the FBI was all in on it, and
And it
they
was the Jews. Um,
controlling the weather."
so now, if anybody's listening at this point, they're going to be like, "Oh, it was the Jews." Oh, poor
Un
little Jews.
Unless you're a Jew that just
Unless you're a
jumped on, you're
Jew.
like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, well, at
Uh,
this point in 2026, probably half the Jews are like, "It was the Jews." Uh, it seems so pervasive right now that everybody wants to blame them.
so crazy.
It's so crazy. Yeah, I the going on the discussion about the bullets and what they do and what they don't do. This kind of goes back to what we are saying about being skeptical or having an open mind. Um, the more I learn about the wacky things bullets do, the less it surprises me when I hear something that a bullet did. And the more open minded I am to people's, saying this or that happened with a bullet that seems unbelievable. I'm like, maybe it did. Maybe it
Maybe it
did
did.
happen. There was a really famous case of a LAPD officer, a woman who was shot with a 357 nearly point blank in the heart. And not only did she survive, but she managed to use her last roughly 5 to 10 seconds of consciousness to kill her attacker.
Yeah.
Um, and I think I was listening to a different podcast where they were talking about, as lawyers, they've seen a lot of gunshot injuries, and it never ceases to amaze them that somebody could be walking around with a fatal wound and still wreak some serious havoc on their environment.
Well,
Um,
we had this conversation on Saturday when somebody brought up because they insisted, they just wanted to carry a lot of ammo.
mhm,
I was like, yeah, but do it, but like quit trying to find. And this is my argument all the time. Like, I'm here to present you with the facts.
mhm,
I'll tell you what I do if you want to hear what I do, but that's an opinion. But I'll tell you why I landed at this decision. But I don't want you to say I want capacity because there's going to be multiple bad guys, or
mhm,
what if they're on drugs? Because I'm sure as many times as you can find a person being shot multiple times because they were on drugs, you can find an equal amount, if not more, when somebody was not on anything and it still required 10 shots to shoot the bad guy down, or at least that was your perception of it until you
mhm.
play the video frame by frame and you see they were incapacitated fucking 3 shots in, but they were a cop, and we just found out from those attorneys that cops tend to shoot a fuck ton more than what is needed. Um, like there's 50 Cent is very well known, and he says it like, I've never drank, I've never really done drugs, I've never any of that stuff. So it's safe to say that when he got shot in the fucking face multiple times, I think he got shot in total 9 times.
9 times, yeah.
Based off of what he says, now I don't know how true it is, but I think I believe him when he says he doesn't partake in alcohol and all that shit
Mhm.
because he didn't want to die and he didn't want to any of that. So, anyways, so when
Which
he
is
got
crazy to think about 50 Cent being 50 Cent without any kind of drugs or alcohol.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
That dude is crazy.
For sure, but he talks about it quite often, like, he
Yeah.
just doesn't like to partake in it. So it's safe to say that when he got shot 9 times, most of those shots to the face, if well, he got shot in the face,
Mhm.
and he survived. So this idea of a human needs to be high or drunk or in some form incapacitated or drunk or whatever,
Mhm.
um, not incapacitated, just out of their fucking mind in order to survive 9 shots, like, that's bullshit, like, we
Well, I mean, a great example of that is the Japanese soldiers in World War II. A lot of them were not being shot with handguns; they were being shot with rifles and continuing to kill U.S. servicemen, even hours later after they'd been shot,
yeah,
because
as they're bleeding out.
they liked to, well, they didn't like to, it was a common thing, for them to play dead and wait for the battle to die down, and somebody would come check to see if there were any survivors to take them prisoner. So this person's been shot with one or multiple rounds from a rifle, and not just any rifle, like the soldiers were using, to a large degree, 30-06.
30-06.
And they roll the dude over, and he's like, haha, grenade. Like, he's still not dead
Not
and
dead.
not done fighting. Um, and,
And they may or may not have been high, but I doubt it based off of their culture and what we know about
yeah, I
their
mean, at the most, we're talking maybe some alcohol, but I think it's pretty clear that it was their ideology that was driving them.
well, I think people I get it. Adrenaline and weird shit happens when those amino acids kick in.
Mm-hmm.
But I think people overestimate what adrenaline will do. Like once your heart is done and it can no longer pump, like it's not gonna pull fucking pumps out of its ass.
Mm-hmm.
Once your sealed system is no longer sealed and you have collapsed lungs, like I don't give a fuck how much cocaine you have in your system. If your lung is fucking a shriveled up fucking balloon, like you can't get air into it anymore. You can't fucking breathe anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You hit the fucking brainstem. You hit that base of the brain. Like I don't give a fuck how much heroin you're gonna go fucking night night. Like it's not like
Mm-hmm.
some miracle fucking drugs gonna keep you alive. Because if that were true, guess what the fuck we'd be injecting all the
Yeah.
fucking time.
Somebody's dying on the operating table, and you're like, "Give him some cocaine." Yeah.
That
So, yeah, the idea that drugs or well, mostly it's when people say it, they're talking about drugs as some magical reanimating uh, source of life. It's not. It's like it can affect somebody's will to fight, certainly,
correct.
but it can't make them something that they're physically not.
And the proof is all the fucking idiots that don't understand that once they get high and they think they're Superman, instead of flying from the ground,
They
uh,
fall. They fall off the parking
they go
garage.
off they go up to the fucking highest building. It was like you can attempt it from the fucking bottom, you fucking fucking idiot. Like you don't have
Uh,
to go to the top. But
I
almost all of those fuckers end up dying,
yeah.
even though they're on drugs.
I remember watching an episode of Cops where this dude was on PCP and the cops literally chased him to the top of like a 5-story parking garage and he jumped off.
He jumped off. Did he
Like,
die?
no, he his legs were all busted up.
Oh,
Maybe it was 3 stories, maybe it wasn't five. Um,
yeah. I mean, 3 stories is not super high.
Most falls over 4 stories are fatal.
Yeah,
Um,
most.
yeah,
There's
most.
always
But
the anomaly.
there's always the anomaly. There's always the skydiver who manages to hit the ground without his parachute and survives. Um, but um, but yeah, I mean the way we. So how many rounds was this guy asking about carrying or saying he was planning to carry?
No, he didn't mention it. He was just talking about multiple mags and well, I'm security, so like I can show you videos of security people not needing that many fucking rounds. Like
Yeah.
it's once you start making excuses again, it's that bias. Is like I want
Hmm.
to carry a lot of rounds. Like quit trying to look for data. And that's always my point is if you want to
Yeah.
carry fucking 17 rounds, just do it. But don't do it because you think data. Because
Hmm.
if you because now you're sharing incorrect information. Oh, I carry a million rounds because oh I there's going to be this guy and that guy. Like that's not the way it works. In fact, the overwhelming empirical evidence shows that regardless of the circumstance, regardless if you're a cop, regardless if you're whatever, it really doesn't take 17 rounds. Very rarely does it take 17 rounds.
Yeah.
But maybe, right? Like there's always that
Well, if we're
maybe
looking at probability, we'd clearly see that of all the people who are likely to need more than one magazine, it's police officers.
because they suck at shooting
Well, they're also encountering people who are
for sure.
mentally
Correct.
already
Wanting to
um,
fight.
accepting
Yeah.
that they're fighting an armed
Yeah,
person,
for sure.
right? So there's that psychological impact as well. Um, but like the temptation would be to say, well, just look at the badge cams. Like, well, just because they did use that many rounds does not mean that they needed that many rounds.
Correct.
Like we'd have to look at each individual case and try to evaluate it from that point of view of need. Because
And,
I've seen plenty of body cams where a cop will shoot, 7 or 8 times and then get behind cover and change mags and then not fire another round. So he changed magazines, but it
yeah,
was a preemptive thing because possibly needing more rounds but then he didn't.
then he
So
didn't. So
yeah.
wasted time,
Um,
wasted effort.
Wasted
I,
effort, or you could say like it's resource management. And like, so it's funny because the cop is betting that he's not going to need those rounds he just dropped out of the gun. which is him betting that he's going to need less rounds than he has.
It's crazy.
So, um, what was I going to
Which is
say?
insane.
Yeah,
That's really poor resource management.
yeah,
Because like if I was in that fight, I'd want all the ammunition.
yeah,
Because if I'm accepting, I'm gonna need to reload anyways. Why not just wait until I need to instead
yeah,
of waste half my fucking magazine,
yeah,
dump it on the ground, and then
yeah.
not have if I do end up needing those.
Right, right.
Crazy.
Um, there was a guy in my class on Sunday morning who was fighting with his trigger safety. And I don't know if I've ever actually seen that happen before.
I seen it with gloves.
Yeah, this guy
I,
was not wearing gloves. He was
yeah.
barehanded.
So he was riding it way too high.
Way too high and not putting enough finger on the trigger.
Smith and Wesson.
Um, Ruger,
Oh, okay, that's weird.
Ruger, I think. I can't remember now.
Because that used to be a big problem with the Smith and Wesson M&Ps, and even the SDV9s
Mm-hmm.
or the Sigmas, because the way that Smith and Wesson used to do the drop safety on the trigger,
Mm-hmm.
they would cut it horizontally in half, and then so you would have to press the bottom half of the trigger, and if you press the top half of the trigger, it wouldn't move.
Yeah.
I have seen some of the newer flat face triggers kind of fall into that same problem because it's not curved and it's flat.
Mm-hmm.
There's a space up at the top where it has no tab.
You know who doesn't have that problem is Sig. Because they just like, yeah, we don't need it. You just get rid of it.
Just fucking get rid of it.
There were a number of factors I think going on. Number one, smaller gun. So actually, kind of like I was paying attention to the area inside of his trigger guard looked a little bit smaller than what you typically would see. Number
So is this a
two,
Ruger LCP?
no, this was one of the modern striker fired. Is it the
Oh, okay.
Hellcat? Yeah.
Um, that's
Number
Springfield.
oh yeah, Springfield makes the Hellcat. What does Ruger make? The shoot, I can't
The
remember.
security.
Yeah. Yes. He had a laser
Oh no.
attachment in front of the
Oh,
trigger guard, which I think, if I'm remembering right, just shaved off a few millimeters of extra clearance inside of that trigger guard. And he had these like freaky large fingers. Like when I say large fingers, I mean like wide fingers.
yeah.
Yeah, so in that picture, it doesn't look like that trigger guard is any smaller. But when he was trying to shove his finger in there, I was like, "Damn, I don't know if it's going to fit."
Is this the gun?
Yeah, I think so.
So yeah, I guess so. Because if you look there, there is kind of that dead space. So if he had his finger up too high,
Hmm.
and I could see how it can happen.
Yeah.
Uh,
He also had like some very early, it looked to me like very early arthritic changes in his fingers, which can change the angle of uh, the top section of your finger.
yeah,
Um, and like he was convinced that his gun was broken. And I'm like, just pull the trigger, dude. I'm like looking at him, I'm like, I don't see the problem here. And then,
that's the frustrating part until you really like start looking at it.
yeah,
Because a lot of times they're like, I can't do it, and then you take the gun, and like, I don't know what the fuck you're
yeah.
talking about.
So,
Uh,
and I'm sure he was wondering, like, because he's like, I'm not imagining this that the trigger is not moving. Like the trigger is definitely not moving. But then as soon as I start shooting, it's working just fine. So that trigger guard area does not look any smaller than the PD10.
the PD10. I think the biggest difference is, and the PD10 has a pretty typical trigger.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, slightly different, but anyways, you see how it cuts off here,
Mm-hmm.
and then it like plateaus up,
Yeah.
as opposed to like a more continuous, if that makes sense. It
Yeah.
almost seems like it's sharp, goes up, and then it has an angle up. I wonder if that was the problem. Is he would rest his finger up here and try and press it from here? Because on the PD10, the Glocks, I don't know about the new Gen 6 Glocks. I haven't seen one in class. A lot of those don't have an issue because even if you hit up top, the the drop safety is sticking out enough. This one falls, like, it's there
Hmm.
and it's gone.
Yeah.
This one, even just a little bit, it'll still press it enough
Yeah.
to go,
And we're not talking about a lot of leverage to move that little
correct,
lever. It's very easy to move once you get any
correct,
leverage on it.
correct,
Unlike the trigger has more resistance on it. So,
correct.
um, but anyway, that was that. Like this Sunday was an exercise and a lot of stuff that doesn't normally happen in a class, all happening within two classes. Um, I had a guy almost collapse on the shooting line, older gentleman using a cane, um, and
Dude, that pisses me the fuck off. It fucking irritates the fuck out of me. I want these humans to not die.
mhm,
I want these humans to be able to defend themselves. But more and more, I find myself physically ill at the idea that they were forced to go. Because even if we only did 50 rounds, you're still forcing them to be in an environment where, for them, at this stage, like I genuinely believe this. There are some humans where it's just like I can't give you an IDS course.
mhm,
Like if you're 80 years of age and you're on a fucking cane, I can't have you on a line for 4 hours, 5 hours, 10 hours.
yeah,
I'm probably going to send you to a different instructor
mhm,
that can spend 1 hour with you and has time and whatever, and just do it 1 hour at a time. Like I don't
mhm,
have time for that, but I'll send you to the instructors that can do it 1 hour at a time. Or or if I'm at the range already, and just meet me an hour.
mhm,
But like this idea that this fucking student has to be there for an arbitrary amount of time is fucking insane, man.
yeah,
I've had a handful of 80-year-olds that is just like this fucking human's gonna die here. Like
yeah,
this
yeah,
fucker's gonna die here. Even in the classroom, it's like this motherfucker's brain cannot hold all of this information. This
right,
motherfucker's thinking about Matlock right now. Like it's just
right,
they probably just pissed themselves trying to keep like I'm
yeah.
40 and in this constant need of peeing. I couldn't imagine if I was fucking 80 years of age, dude.
Where does it all come from?
Where does fuck's it all coming from?
And
So
this guy was a trooper.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
I really thought he wasn't going to be able to finish the class, and I was trying to strategize about what I was going to do around it. But he really pushed himself to be
yeah,
able to finish the class,
yeah,
and he didn't complain at all. Um, but like everybody in the class was like, "Is this dude going to be okay?"
yeah.
You know, um, and so
There's been plenty of times where I just tell that individual 'cause I've had a few where it's just like, I don't think this motherfucker, and kinda like with your student, it's just like, "No,
mhm,
they say I gotta do it, and this is the class, so I'm just gonna try it." They don't wanna be
yeah.
little bitches, but there's been times where it's just like, "You know what? You've shot enough. I've seen enough." Um,
Well, I told him, I was like, you tell me when you can't go on, and you and I will figure out how to get you through the rest of what you need to do."
yeah,
So, um, but yeah, dude was a trooper. And but at the same time, it's like one more thing. We got two people over here fighting with their LCPs. This guy can't pull the trigger. We got revolvers that are malfunctioning. We've got this dude who's like trying to fall down. Like I was stressed out, man. I was so stressed. Um, yeah, I was on the way home because I did two classes back to back, so it was 8 straight hours of this and everything. And I on the way home, I just found some old school hardcore punk. I just cranked it up. I'm like screaming out the window on the way home, just trying to get some of it out, you know. And these were really good people. Like the people did not make the class difficult.
the
It was
gear.
just all these things that build
Yeah,
up into what can complicate a class. And really everybody was, great attitude. Even the people who were disagreeing with me were still engaged and like working it out rather than just being like disengaged and pissed off or whatever.
yeah,
So um because we had some disagreements. This one lady with the revolver, she was saying, "I really want to just shoot this thing single action because I do better at the range with it in single action." And I'm trying to have this discussion with her about the different context, and she didn't want to accept it. um, and eventually she did, and
But
eventually she just decided
she
to,
she thought the bad guy was gonna be like, "Okay, cock
yeah,
it. You shot me. Okay, cock it again.
yeah.
Pull that hammer
we're
back
doing
again."
like we're
Yeah.
doing stop motion fights. um, so, and this other woman with her revolver, uh, she got speed loader, and her speed loader. I brought a speed loader because she told me ahead of time she only had one, so I brought mine, and I looked at them. They were freaking identical speed loaders, and one of them worked and the other one didn't. Like when I say worked, I mean it fit. One of them fit in the gun and the other one didn't. I'm looking at these things. I'm like, they are freaking identical. How is this not working? And just like stuff like that all day, just stuff like that.
For same caliber, same everything.
Everything was the same brand. The stamp on the little
One worked, the other one
sleeve
didn't.
was the same.
Which one didn't work? Yours?
Mine, yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's so weird, dude.
yeah,
So
um,
weird.
but I mean it's good. Like I came home, I settled down, I relaxed a little bit, and I'm just going over all the ways that I should get better at what I do, you know. And so this does bring eventually it does bring positive things to the class.
Well, I think we've got Abe, who's been kind of in a mentee position for several months now. Um, Probably the longest we've kept a human
Alive in the program.
in the program, and it's always difficult to until shit like this happens
Hmm.
to emphasize to this humans like we're gonna look at the targets. I want to look at the targets because it tells me something, but I'm more concerned with what the human is doing
Hmm.
because I'm at a point now with a lot of the times um, I've had students tell me like, "Well, did you even look at the target? I see you looking at me." I was like, "I don't need to look at the target. I can already know if you missed or didn't miss."
Hmm.
And then we go through the thing. I was like, "I'm looking at you. You missed." Like, "Yeah. Why do you think you missed?" And so go through that whole process. But it's just from paying attention to the human, and that's where you catch all of that shit, right? This is where you
Hmm.
catch. I see the stereotypical fucking picture of the instructors with their hand on the shoulder of the student. They're both looking at the target, like while the student is holding the gun like shit.
Hmm.
And I get it's a picture, like
Yeah.
it's you're there to learn, but it's just you're not paying attention to what the human is doing.
Right.
You're just focused on where the bullet is going.
Yeah.
But that doesn't like where the bullet landed doesn't tell you why it landed there.
Yeah.
It could have been a fucking accident. Like it
Yeah.
just
Well, and a bullet hitting the target is not an indicator of good execution of the fundamental skill. So
correct.
it's like this worked because we're on the range.
Correct. It's like that you see these a lot, but a pretty decent example is that reporter who's doing a story on a basketball and how a trick shot. So he fucking launches it and then it goes in. Like it went in,
Yeah.
but even he was surprised. Even he was like, I don't the fuck it went in. But
Yeah.
like that's that, right? Like you can get bullseye and not know why the fuck it happened. But you will accept it as I'm just good. Like
Hmm.
no, that's not it.
Yeah.
So all that to say is kind of this idea of paying attention to all the shit that students are doing can get fucking stressful
Yeah. Yeah.
because you see up front all of the weird shit that students do.
Oh, another thing I had this weekend, I had like probably 5 people out of 26 who kept trying to switch the gun to another hand to do the reload.
Bonkers.
And I'm
It's so frustrating because those humans, I was like, how long have you owned your gun?
Yeah.
I was
Well,
like,
and it's
oh, I've
like,
been shooting since I was a little kid and I grew up on a farm. It's you. For me, anyways, it's usually that guy.
Yeah.
It's usually that guy who's like, "Oh, I've been shooting for a long time. I'm here for a renewal," or like, "I had a permit back in Missouri, and
Hmm.
I was fucking a Navy SEAL back in the noms." I was like, "Why the fuck are you switching hands?"
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of, well, not speaking of, something I wanted to make sure I said, I had a, a total, I think, of 3 people in over the weekend told me that they listened to the podcast. So shout out to those people. I remember 2 of your names, Art and Chad. Hopefully we haven't misrepresented you guys in any way. I wasn't talking about any of you so far. um, but I have encouraged people in the class, like, if you have questions about something that happened in the class, like, we talk about a lot of this stuff in the podcast. It
We
helps you.
talk shit about you
Yeah, we talk shit about you.
after we talk shit about you directly.
But it's encouraging that people are showing up. And I think this is what reminded me of this when you said renewals, because Art, I think it was Art, gave some feedback in the class. Um, why do we not separate out the renewal people from the new people?
Uh,
I'm like, well,
you guys are all equally retarded.
in fact, more often it's the renewal people that are
Yeah,
doing the
yeah,
the stuff that needs to be corrected right
for
now.
sure,
Um,
for sure.
and that's not always true, because sometimes we have new people who are nervous and who are overwhelmed and who have no intuition at all when it comes to using a handgun, and that does happen. But a lot of times the new person does exactly what you ask them to do, and the experienced person continues to switch hands for their reload. So,
Well, it's a weird. I don't know if fallacy is the correct term, but I'm gonna go with it. I'm gonna run with it. But it is this fallacy that the gun industry has created and instructors have created, that there's levels. There's not
mhm,
levels. There's only competence or incompetence, right? Like it's. We talked about this a while ago, where instructors have handgun 101 and then handgun 102, and a great majority of the reasoning is a sales tactic. I want to sell you the next level. For us, it's you should show up to the fundamentals of IDS first to make sure you are safe and you can understand the concept. That's it. It's not to see where your skill is. Like, I don't care if you were such an awesome shot, an incredible shot. Like, my goal isn't to make you the best shooter after the course. Like, that's not it. It's become the most efficient shooter, more efficient than when you showed up,
mhm,
because we understand that I don't want perfection right now, because if that's all we're focused on, we'll end up doing fucking tooler drills, and we can get
mhm.
perfect really fucking quick in isolated circumstances.
Yeah. And yeah, I'm not looking to make you a better shooter. I'm looking to increase your competence in the areas that need it the most.
Correct.
Um, and so,
Yeah, because shooting's easy. We've
yeah.
talked about this before. Shooting is fucking easy.
Well, and it's
That's
and it's also not even necessarily the most important thing that you're doing. Um, I mean,
just
I
weird.
think we would argue out there that maybe the most important thing we're doing is how to process information in the context of you using a
Correct.
gun against another person.
Correct.
Um, and I think if you're talking about a driver, a new driver who's going down the highway, and you're like, I know you don't know how to process information. So even though you could keep the car in the lane just fine, when everything goes wrong, you don't know what to do
Correct.
with your eyeballs.
Correct.
So, um, and like, so I'll get shooters out there who are, or students out there who are struggling to hit the target, but I'm really more focused on, like, let's get you to the point where your body is in the right place and you're not dropping the gun out of your shooting hand into your other hand for no reason. And
Correct.
like, let's get you focused on getting your head in the game, so
Correct.
that then we can build the skill of you shooting
Correct.
more
Correct.
efficiently on target.
And,
So
and I can have somebody who's really awesome at shooting and somebody who's not so awesome at shooting, but understand the concepts all in the same fucking classroom, and
yeah,
and that's more valuable than who's more experienced and who's not more experienced. It's just
yeah,
like, let's in these classes, in the concealed carry classes, I think we take it a notch even down low. I don't want to say we reduce standards because that's not the proper thing, but the mindset is a little bit different. Is for me, anyways, in the sense of if we could all be safe for the context, right? Understanding
Mhm.
that it's still risky, understanding that it's if we could all be and we're all moving forward, like I really don't care about who's got 20 years in and who's got 30 years in because again, that's another trap where it's just like, well, I've been in it 30 years. Like that could mean you suck balls and
Yeah,
nobody's ever
for
challenged you.
30 solid years.
For 30 solid years, you've sucked balls and nobody's ever challenged you.
Yeah,
Or you've never allowed anybody to challenge you.
yeah,
So yeah, we won't. I won't separate them ever, not on purpose, only because just because you've had a permit doesn't mean you know what the fuck you're talking about, and just because
mhm,
you've never had a permit doesn't mean you don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
yeah,
I've had some newbies. You've had some newbies where it's just like, what the fuck are these questions? Like, holy shit, I've never been challenged so much in my fucking life.
yeah, yeah,
And it was the fucking newbie was like, well, how about this? And how about this? And how about that? Like this
yeah,
motherfucker, you need to leave because I don't know how to answer you anymore.
yeah. I'm getting tired of all this thinking and
For sure.
challenging.
For
Um,
sure.
So speaking of, we got classes coming up. We got March 14th and 15th. We got pistol on the 15th and carbine on the 14th. We do have people signing up for the pistol class, so if that pace keeps up, it will sell out hopefully. But it we are getting signups going. The carbine so far has zero, so I'm looking forward to the carbine. I think it's fun. I think shooting rifles is fun. I think it's way more fun than shooting handguns. The context for that class is the same thing. It's defensive shooting with a rifle, and we have loaner equipment for both of those classes available. If you don't even have a rifle, you can still come to the class. So you have to bring your own multicam though, because I can't provide you with multicam.
We will make fun of you.
And Gunmakers Match is live.
Yeah. So this is not here in the state of Colorado, but we do have a date, May 16th. If you make guns, 3D print your own guns, CNC your own guns, this is going to be in Clayton, Michigan. It's to the south. It's basically Ohio. It's about an hour north of Ohio. I'd say about an hour and a half ish from Detroit. Um, Anyways, so if you guys are interested in that stuff, uh, that is May
Six pack
16th.
of Zima. That's
So,
funny.
um, yeah, Gunmakers Match. If you guys are interested in that stuff,
I
uh,
think if you're even interested at all in homemade firearms, it's a cool thing to check out because I mean you're just surrounded by people who are at all different levels of participation in homemade guns. So
yeah. So the
gun
Gunmakers
website's
Match.
good to see you. I got a kick out of your post. I don't know if it was today or yesterday where you were saying it's only 361 more days till the next shot show or whatever. You started your countdown to the next shot show.
And when our gun Groundhog's Day starts all over again.
Yeah.
What's
Well,
that? What's that song? What's that song in Groundhog's Day? The one he wakes up to every fucking morning,
oh,
or is it a radio station?
it's is it Sonny and Cher? I think it's Sonny and
It
Cher.
is. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's basically when Shot Show happens. That's the song. That's it's basically all over again.
Yeah.
Here we go again.
Here we
Here
go
we go
again.
again. Um, 348,
48 days,
5
5
hours.
hours. uh,
So, anyways, yeah, Gunmakers Match gonna be pretty nice this year. It is every year. Um, I don't know what's gonna make it better this year, but I'm think we're gonna have more launchers this year. So if you wanna make your own launcher, that's interesting. People make their own launchers.
like a 37 millimeter launcher.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
And we have side matches for that.
Oh, nice.
So we see who can launch shit out of it, cans, beers. sodas, whatever,
Nice.
whatever fits in that motherfucker. And yeah, so if you guys are interested in that stuff, gfenational.com, gfenational.com. Don't forget to donate. Please donate, become a member, get discounts on shit and stuff and all that. Um, Go.
Right on. Well, thanks everybody. If you're still watching, appreciate it. And we will catch you on the flippy floppy. Peace.